Alan Becker's Animator vs. Animation is a series that has been around for almost 20 years. And with that milestone being almost achieved, I realized that this story has evolved into one of the greatest indie stick figure animations on the platform, with both incredible animation and excellent world building to boot. Unexpectedly, however, as the series grew, so did its sense of writing and emotion. And that is what I'd like to talk about in today's video. Yep, stick figures with emotions. And before you click off the video, sit down, cause Alan somehow ended up giving these guys some heavy backstories and character arcs despite not having any actual faces. Before that though, major spoilers for all of Alan Becker's series ahead, okay? The first piece I feel we need to look at to understand this winding puzzle is the original series, aka the base Animator vs. Animation storyline, and there are three characters that I'd like to include in this starting analysis. The Dark Lord has only ever had one purpose ever since he was created by Alan, to destroy the Chosen One. However, after a quick sparring match between the two, the Dark Lord was given mercy, and despite his programming, he accepted the Chosen One's hand. This resulted in the two having a mutual friendship that led to their escape and the destruction of Alan's PC. This is where it gets interesting. The two of them start hunting down and destroying different platforms such as Angry Birds, Stickpage, and even Newgrounds, and this is when the difference between the two of them really starts to set in. The Chosen One was created as a newer version of Victim, and interestingly enough, it's the name, not the code, that gives the stick figures their abilities, which is why I'm so curious to see how they explore the Chosen One with no more powers anymore, because he's such an interesting character. The Chosen One was taken as a prisoner by Alan, forced to work as an ad blocker, and honestly came really close to death more times than I'm comfortable counting. But despite all of that, he knows the difference between saving a world and fixing it. It's why his name is the Chosen One. Yes, he makes questionable decisions and gets absolutely nerfed to the ground in later episodes, but he still at the end of the day is a good person, which is why when the Dark Lord is about to unleash a Virobot onto Alan, the same person who imprisoned him, he steps in. And later he does something that I honestly didn't expect from him. He forgives Alan, and the two of them work together to defeat the Dark Lord. Speaking of the Dark Lord, yeah, he didn't take the Chosen One's betrayal too lightly, and the two of them honestly would have probably lost the final battle if it weren't for the one thing the Dark Lord never expected. The Second Coming was created as just an animation, and debatably unintentionally by Alan. However, in the description of his file, it does show that he's the Chosen One's return, so it's a bit unclear if he just spawned in, or if Alan created a stick figure on purpose. But there's one little detail about the Second Coming that's very interesting, which is when other stick figures are created in such as the Chosen One or the Dark Lord, they immediately act as a threat or seek a fight. The Second Coming is different in this aspect because originally he hides from Alan and seeks out other people. He does appear to have a yearn to fight similar to others Alan created, but it's not just a tunnel-visioned genocide. If anything, the Second Coming is more set on animating, sleeping, eating, playing Minecraft. He is the stick figure who has the most traits, creativity, and ingenuity. Despite not being able to use his powers on command, he uses his other strengths and harnesses them to their full potential. And he is by far the most determined and protective stick figure. I want to play a scene in the background and explain the context behind it to get my point across. The Dark Lord had just defeated Alan and had the Chosen One pinned down to the side of a cliff with a horde of Virobots. Oh great, there's more of them. And the first thing that he does in this situation is run towards the cliff, skid down it, and stand directly in front of the Dark Lord, defying him. He is outclassed in every single possible category here, yet despite that he throws his body in front to shield the Chosen One, and then his friends jump in front with him. This is trust, pure trust at its finest. They all know there's no chance they can beat him, but they trust the Second Coming's instincts and follow. And then comes one of the most heart-wrenching scenes in Animator vs. Animation. Every single one of the stick figures gets erased by the Dark Lord. They struggle, and as the Second Coming watches, there's nothing he can do. He got thrown to the ground instantly by their enemy, and all he can do is watch before getting stabbed from behind by the Dark Lord. And that's it. The story ends. No, this is not the end. Somehow he'll push through it. The concept of resisting complete erasure of code is no small feat, and for the Second Coming, it's kinda his thing. He withstood Alan attempting to delete his file, stood his ground against King Orange, and now this. And all of them have one thing in common when it comes to resisting the erasure: his friends. Almost every time, with a few exceptions, he manages to push through for them, breaks the concept of what limits him, and achieves something higher that not even the Dark Lord can defeat: complete and raw determination. No matter how many times he gets hit, and no matter how many enemies he has to face, he will do it for them. It's at this point where I'm going to be moving to a different series in the same universe as Animator vs. Animation, and is canon to that universe, but shares different characters and elements. And that series would be Animation vs. Minecraft. There are two characters that I'd like to talk about on this series, those characters being King Orange and Purple. But I feel in order to understand King Orange first, we need to take a look at Purple's backstory and understand them more as a character. Purple's backstory goes in the path of what their father was, and they were extremely hard on them, with their mom constantly having to shield them up until her death. And the moment they reached that moment, their dad just left. No excuse, no reason. They just left Purple to fend for themselves. This eventually led to Purple meeting the other stick figures and meeting King Orange. And from the Note Block episode, we learn that all of this is to prove to King Orange, or more accurately their dad, that they are strong. They can fight, they have a purpose. They're not just some kid anymore, and they don't want to get left behind again. So when King Orange does exactly that and betrays their trust, it reopened old wounds, which began the redemption of Purple. On the other hand, King Orange had a kid, and they did everything together up until the point where a freak accident with Minecraft made him lose his son, and judging from the way his kid was moving, it wasn't a pleasant or painless death, and all he could do was stay behind this door that refused to open, while others tried to get him out, and this created a fire in Orange, and one that wouldn't be satisfied until it reclaimed what it had lost. He forced himself to study the very foundations of what made up Minecraft, from the tools to the very code of the game, until he created something that gave him complete control of the world. But it wasn't enough. He kept pushing and pushing and... Wait, what? This moment honestly ate me up given the context of Purple always trying to prove that he's good enough, and for a moment I thought Orange was just gonna reject him the first time. But he didn't, and this created a complicated relationship. Orange thinking of Purple as just an assistant or stepping stone, and Purple seeing Orange as well, probably not a father figure at first, but he definitely looked up to him and was desperate to prove himself. And King Orange wouldn't think differently of him until it was too late, realizing that what he's done has caused so much pain and suffering, realizing that he has hurt someone he cared about. And it was at this moment he knew he needed to take care of what he had, and stop trying to create the past. With both realizing their mistakes, they came together and accepted each other as parental figure and child. But what of the first ever stick figure that Alan created? Welp, we're back in the main storyline of Animator vs. Animation. And gotta say, this season so far absolutely slaps. But I'd like to talk about one character who has been set up from the very beginning of the series, Victim. As the name suggests, Victim is a victim to an entire world of pain, since the moment he was drawn. And similar to the Second Coming, he's one of the only stick figures who didn't fight Alan when first created. All he could do was run. Days passed by, then weeks, the torture of going through drowning, cutting, and complete erasure of oneself. Soon it had been a year and Victim finally snapped. Using pieces of Alan's desktop, he escaped to the internet, and there he met someone who helped him work through his PTSD of Alan. And can I just say, the way they handled PTSD in the series was done incredibly well, with Victim getting terrified of even shadows that resemble a computer mouse. It's such a unique way to convey it, and it worked exceptionally well. And after a while of spending time with the people he cared for, people he loved, he was able to move past it all. Until it was all taken away. As if Victim didn't have it hard enough, at the time that he and Mitzi were sharing a dance, the Dark Lord and the Chosen One at that exact moment started wrecking Newgrounds, where life was given to every single drawing and stick figure, except Victim, left alone and afraid, with his partner dead. And the only one to blame was him. Also would like to clarify real quick, I know this looks bad, but I really do doubt that the Chosen One actually killed Mitzi. I think it was the Dark Lord just based off the way he was moving and how he knows of Mitzi's death. Okay, back to Victim though. He spent every moment trying to track him down, and when he finally found him, the very thing that started this whole thing was there. And working with him, this wouldn't do any favors for Victim's declining emotional and mental state, as he goes through the process of hunting down the Chosen One, making him his punching bag, and eventually finding Alan. But in finally getting his revenge, he was once again left alone, with a purpose to be undecided. Okay, how is bro in one piece? Really interesting parallel here, by the way. The way the Chosen One reached out to the Dark Lord, and now the Dark Lord is reaching out to Victim. Although, this partnership is tied with manipulation, and Victim's story ends there for now, with his fate in the hands of the Dark Lord. And yeah, that's all I'd like to talk about for this video. I do apologize if I left out a character or arc that occurs that's also really heavy, but for this video I wanted to focus on these specific characters and their arcs. It's still crazy to me how this is all just about stick figures, and yet it ties up so well across the different storylines and writing. Alan Becker, you and your team are amazing. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Honestly, this is my first time ever really trying to do this deep a dive into something like this, so let me know if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.